So, how to win as a home buyer in 2020. Welcome to the Zoom chat. If you have never used Zoom, we're going to introduce you to a couple fun little functions that it has right now. In the background, we've got one of our guys on our team, Carlin, helping us out today. So Carlin, please type in the chat, send it to everybody and let them know where they can ask questions throughout the presentation. We ask, so everyone's muted, okay, so no one can talk. You'll only hear from me and Dale. If you do have a question, type it into the chat box. You should see a little bit of a notification coming up. And we will get to questions as they go, all right? Contents, today we are going to start off with our market snapshot before the pandemic. We'll get into COVID-19 affected market, okay? So talk a little bit about what we've seen in the market since March 16th, which is kind of like the first day that the government of Ontario shut things down. Talk a little bit about why are buyers and sellers doing what they're doing and what happens next. I know a lot of us, a lot of the people that are signed up for this are looking about or trying to make plans for what's going to come in the future. Try to put yourself in the best position to capitalize on the market and have a successful purchase in 2020. All right. So pre-pandemic market outlook for London. Okay. We're going to get into a year-over-year comparison for London new listing sales and sales prices. We're going to show that 2020 was shaping up to be a super strong year. Very reminiscent of what we saw in 2017. So 2017 was kind of the first major shift to what we would call our current market, a strong seller's market. Dale, that was actually my first year in real estate as an agent. Dale, you've been in real estate a lot longer than I have. So you can probably tell us a little bit about how different 2017 was compared to what you were used to.
Yeah, so this is I've been in 14 years now, so I got licensed in 2006. So 2006, 7, and first 3 quarters of 2008 before the US economy took a plummet were very active years. I would say 2016, 15, 16, 17 were very similar to those years where they were ramping up and on an upwards trend, for sure. 2018 and 19, very strong as well. And then as you mentioned, 2020, the first 3 months of 2020, we were on a very similar trajectory to 2017, probably a record-setting year up until that point.
Likely. I remember they were saying that the stats for January and February, I think they were just behind 2017 for sales numbers, which we will get into. Okay, so our first data set here is our number of new listings by month since 2017, okay? So we're gonna quickly compare January, February, March to where we were, to show kind of where we were headed, all right? January and February, we were ahead of 2017 listing numbers because of how strong the market was. Everyone was seeing what the sale prices were. They were very eager to capitalize on that if they were a seller, okay? March started off very strong, and then halfway through, definitely took a bit of a nosedive, okay? In April, we are 3 weeks into April, all right? So majority of the way through, and we are sitting at 300 new listings for the month. This is London specifically, and compared to the past 3 years, we will be fortunate to get a little bit closer to 50% of the new listing activity that we had seen in the previous 3 years, okay? May, June, and July are always very strong numbers for listing and sales in London as well. Remains to be seen what is going to happen with the market, past COVID, all right? And then we're gonna get into that a little bit more. These are our sales numbers, okay? So this shows you how many properties were sold in London, once again, by month for the past few years, all right? So January, we're right on track. February, we're pretty close. March, like I said, we hit the middle of the month and a lot of those sales didn't happen, okay? And then we get to April. Once again, we're 2/3 of the way through the month. And we are sitting at 151 sales for the month, okay? Once again, we're probably gonna hit a third, 2/5 of what we would have expected over the past few years, okay? And our sales price. Now this is, everyone really cares about sales price, average sales price. This is all properties, single detached, semi, townhouse, condo, apartment, you name it. If it's in the city of London, it contributes to these stats, okay? We were crushing projections for average sale price in London through the first 3 months of the year. CMHC put out a report at the start of the year that said sales price in London could hit 450, and we hit 452 in February. So that shows you kind of where we were headed, okay? I know a lot of people think, well, where's it going to stop? These prices keep climbing. The buyer activity was there to support those numbers, okay? March took a little bit of a dip, and we'll talk about March is kind of a tale of two halves. And April, where we're sitting at right now, we've got our average sale price so far this month sitting at 428, okay? So 6.5% below where we were a month ago, all right? So this is the nitty gritty numbers right here of what happened in March, okay? So for the first 2 weeks of March, 334 sales, very strong activity, and the average sale price 458, just a little bit over that, all right? Which would have put us on pace to beat the previous sale price from February. Okay, Dale, I don't know if you can remember it seems like a lifetime ago, but what your first 2 weeks of March were like?
They're very active, very busy, working with lots of buyers. And I mean, at that point, I think we were starting to transition a little bit before the government announced the shutdown on the 16th. However, it was still very strong at that time.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with one of my clients. I think it was March 10th or March 11th, somewhere around there, and asking them very, very plainly, hey, are you going to stop your home search because of COVID-19 affecting the market? And the conversation that we were having is absolutely not. There's still going to be listings. There might be an increase in listings, actually. And there will be some buyers that decide to hit the sideline because they don't know what the future is going to hold, right? Yep. They want to sit and wait and see. So a few of my clients had thought, this is the right time. I might be able to capitalize on something. And then we'll get into some of the effects that we saw and why some people weren't able to continue, but obviously that was not the case, okay? And then from March 16th to the end of the month, after Doug Ford made the announcement and started closing services in Ontario, everyone is staying home, flatten the curve. That was the sales and sale price activity that we saw over the second half of that month, okay? So we lost 100 sales and the sale price dropped 5% to 435, all right? So lost 30% of sales down 5%. And like I said, sales price, we are currently down 6.5 month over month from where we were at the end of March, okay?
Yeah, so that 5% was from the first 2 weeks of March to the second half of March. We were down 5%, and now we're down about 6.5 from
exactly
to current date.
Yeah, so something that's important to note is, yes, we've seen a drop, but the sale price, from March 16th, the average sale price from March 16th to right now has been very, very level, okay? It's not that we dropped 5% and we continue to nosedive. We've definitely leveled off, and the average sale price will remain stable for the foreseeable future now that we've kind of settled into this norm, right?
I would expect so.
Yeah.
Time will tell. However, yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that.
Fair enough. Okay. So this price change year over year. So this is an interesting chart to look at. It just goes to show the price gains that we've seen over the past 3 years, unprecedented price gains in the city of London, okay? Now that percentage, so if we were to compare January 2018, we see that the price, this average sale price gained 13.49%. That was from January 2017, okay? So it's comparing to the same month the previous year, all right? And other than September 2019, April 2020, we are looking at a 0.6% price gain from April 2019. Okay. That's just, it lets us know where the prices are sitting at. Okay. We haven't dropped below 2019 levels. We've definitely flattened off, and we're sitting at a more stable number right now. Okay. Do you remember 2018, those numbers being so high? 23% in September, Dale.
Yeah. Yeah. They were huge months. Yeah, the last 4 years, it's been a seller's market, right? So
Absolutely.
it seemed like every sale was a new record.
Yeah.
So obviously it's tough to guide buyers in that economy as well, because basically say, hey, the last sale was 425, the next one's probably going to be 435, the one after that's probably going to be 445.
Yep.
Right. So
okay. And this next chart, sales to new listing ratio, really speaks to what Dale was just talking about. Okay. So this is a ratio of how many properties are sold compared to how many properties are listed in any given month. Okay. Analysts like to look at this statistic as a way to determine whether a market is a buyer's market or a seller's market. All right. And on the right there, you can see those different categories. If there are 0 to 40% of sales compared to new listings, we're in a buyer's market. Okay. So there's 100 sales or 100 listings in a month and 40 sales, buyer's market. All right. So there's not as many buyers as sellers. Okay. Neutral market, 40 to 60%, and seller's market is 60 to 100% on that ratio. Okay. April 2020, on the right side of the screen there, we are at 50% of sales to new listings ratio for the month. And over the past 4 years, that is the first month where we are not above 60% in a seller's market. So if that trend continues for the next 10 days, at the end of the month, we can say we are in a neutral market. All right. A couple months ago, that would have been, music to a lot of buyers' ears, right? They're going to look at that and say, great, less competition. There's more listings available to me.
more listings and less buyers and less multiple offer scenarios happening, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's pretty wild. I mean, it's unprecedented times that we're going through. It's pretty wild to look at these statistics and see that they're backing up exactly what we're seeing in the market. Okay. Listing activity has not dropped quite as much as sales activity. All right. I think this past week we were at 120 new listings for the previous week, and sales were just under 60. And typically we would expect to see 210 new listings and 170, 180 sales, right? So that sales to new listings ratio is going to be a lot higher. All right. So the title of the presentation, how to win as a home buyer. Okay. What does it mean to win? That has kind of changed. That qualification has kind of changed since COVID happened. Okay. If you were a home buyer in February, Dale, and you were looking to purchase something, what would you consider winning?
Well, typically it depends what price range you're in. However, usually it was a multiple offer scenario. So there could be 5 to 10 offers. So winning meant actually getting the property and being the top successful offer. Right. So you have to look at the comparables and guide your clients accordingly to actually get the home that they want.
Yeah.
Because if you're not the top one out of those 10 offers, then you're going to continue looking and go through the process again.
Exactly. So that winning is winning in multiple offers, and you pay a price that you're happy to pay based on comparable sales from the neighborhood. And depending on, other terms and conditions within your offer, at the end of the day, you were successful, you got the house. Okay. Now that we're in a more neutral market, that kind of changes how some buyers might look at winning, right? There's less buyers, there's less buyer activity, there's less sales happening in a neutral market. A lot of people would consider, yeah, I want to get that same house. I don't want to compete against anyone. I want to take my time, make an educated decision. Not that people before weren't, but you can sleep on it, which is crazy. And potentially getting that home at a lower price, right? It's kind of crazy to say, This house was listed 6 weeks later in the year and sold for 6.5% less. It's a bizarre turn of events and what we've been seeing. So that is what winning means. All right. Just to frame the context of what that looks like based on the market that we're in. All right. In a seller's market, winning means you get the house and you beat 10, 15, 20 other buyers. Okay.
Yep.
In a neutral market, you get to take a little bit more time and potentially you're paying a little bit less for that house than you might have 6, 7 weeks ago. All right.
Just to clarify too, though, there still are multiple offers happening.
Sure.
In the last 3 weeks. And I see a few of my buyers are on the call here. We've been in multiple offer scenarios in the last 2 to 4 weeks still. So they are still happening. It just depends how the property's priced to begin with.
Absolutely. And it all depends on what the seller strategy is to begin with, right? Right now, and we'll talk about this, what, buyer activity looks like, but there are definitely less buyers out there hitting the pavement and looking at houses. So if their goal is to underlist a property in the hopes of getting multiple offers, fair enough. That's a viable strategy in typical market that we've been sitting in. If buyer activity continues the way it is, we might see more properties listed at a price that they hope to sell for, right? Yep. So why aren't sellers listing their properties? One, they don't have to, okay? Yes, real estate is considered an essential service. However, most people are avoiding in-person showings. If you can avoid buying and selling right now, a lot of people are deciding that they don't want to, okay? If you are currently, you're a homeowner, you haven't bought a house, you don't have to list your house right now, you're probably not thinking, great, I want to get my house on the market. I want a bunch of people coming through my house right now. If they aren't buying, they don't need to sell. There we go. Concern over the market. There are people that they see, yes, we've dropped 6.5% in our average sale price month over month. Will it continue? They aren't sure. There's uncertainty in the market. They're not sure that the buyer level, the buyer interest level will be there compared to what it looked like a month ago, okay? Prices are falling. There are always going to be those people that look at a situation and they see the worst possible scenario, and that's just the reality. So that is why listings haven't dropped as much as buyers have, and it has everything to do with stay home, right? There are definitely those people that bought earlier this year, and now they're coming on and they say, I have to sell. I moved, my house closes in 2 months. I got to get my house on the market, right? In a seller's market, we always say, what do you do first, buy or sell, Dale?
You always buy first in a seller's market, because if you sell first, you might end up homeless for a while, because it could take you 2, 3, 5 attempts to get a home.
There we go. So a lot of those people that bought in the first 3.5 months of the year, they now have to list their property, okay? Diminished buyer activity. So now we're going to look at why have the number of buyers kind of dropped, all right? Don't need, sorry. If I was looking to purchase a house before COVID, I might not be now, because I have to sell my current home. And either I don't want to go through that process right now, or I'm concerned over the market, like we just talked about. Lost money in investments. A lot of people that had money in RRSPs, their down payment was tied up in investments, mutual funds, whatever. That money is no longer there to support the purchase they were hoping for, okay? Employment status might be a little bit shakier, which is leading to less people getting pre-approvals, all right? So that's why we're seeing diminished buyer activity. Forget the fact that the government, the federal government, the world really is telling everyone to stay home if they can, which is causing a lot of people to say, I can't buy a house without seeing it, and I can't go out and see houses right now. So that's where that diminished buyer activity is coming from, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are some misconceptions there too. You can still go see homes. We're attempting to do things virtually as much as possible. Masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, taking precautions, limited people, which we'll get into as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're talking about how to operate as a buyer during a pandemic. Okay, so if we are seeing a neutral market, we're seeing less competition, we're seeing a price that we like a little bit more than we did 6 or 7 weeks ago, there are those people that are in a position right now to get out there, and they're looking at buying right now. Okay. First-time home buyers, potentially, investors that are looking to get out there and beef up their portfolios. Those are definitely two demographics that we're seeing a lot of activity from. Abiding by showing instructions and procedures. Each listing is going to be different. Some people are saying no showings until we have an accepted offer in place, conditional on you viewing it. Some people are asking for buyers to sign a declaration saying that they're not sick. Pretty much everyone is saying wear gloves and a mask, right?
Yep.
Leveraging online tools. So virtual tours have become almost a mandate, I would say, for any new listing coming online. There should be a video available for buyers to view. Okay, so narrowing your search down on the computer first is going to be a huge key to success as a buyer right now. And then asking important questions. Yes, we saw the video. We like the paint colors. The kitchen looks great. But what does the electric panel look like? How old's the furnace? What is the HVAC system like? You know, have you had any issues? Can you tell us a little bit about any renovations you've done? Send us some more pictures, the nitty-gritty stuff that buyers really want to know about, okay? So really educating yourself before you even go see the property. And that's all to serve limiting showings and in-person appearances. The less contact we can have face-to-face, the better we are off in the end for COVID-19, okay? I know, you know, we saw open houses were banned, right? For anyone that treats real estate as a hobby, we're definitely seeing a lot less superfluous, great word, inquiries from people that aren't as serious as those real buyers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's less tire kickers, I guess, or hobbyists out there, right, that are just kind of curious and browsing. It's serious people only right now.
And then, like I said, submitting offers conditional on viewing the property. All right, so you can tie that property up, make it yours, and depending on the wording of your condition, you have the ability to go in, view the property in person before committing to firmly purchasing that property. All right, so our outlook for the rest of 2020, I don't have a crystal ball. Dale doesn't have a crystal ball. When we think we're going to get back to a normal market, nobody can say. All right, but in general, we have certain expectations for what's going to happen. There is absolutely going to be pent-up demand. I was thinking about buying and selling myself this year. Okay, do I do that later in the year? Who knows? But there are people that are looking to move up. They're looking to downsize, lifestyle changes. They're moving around in the city. There absolutely will be pent-up demand for both buyers and sellers at the end of this. Potential for new inventory. There's a few scenarios that are going to lead to some new inventory coming on the market that we might not have seen before COVID-19. We'll get to that on the next slide. Increased activity due to housing awareness, kind of the same deal. And then renters becoming buyers. Anyone that decides, hey, I was in somewhat of a sketchy situation when COVID hit. I couldn't get a hold of my landlord. What was the situation with renting? Do I have to pay rent? Do I not? There will absolutely be more people looking to get into home ownership, all right, and looking to get out of renting, okay? So this is what I was talking about. We're going through COVID-19, everyone is self-isolating, and it's absolutely gonna cause some people to transact in the market that wouldn't have beforehand. Divorces. People are spending a lot of time at home with spouses, significant others. We hope everyone's doing great. The reality is not everyone is, okay? We are expecting to see increased divorce numbers at the end of this, okay? People are gonna be splitting up. Whether or not the house comes on the market or not, we will see increased buyer activity due to that, okay? There will be those people that are looking to downsize. They said, great, I've been stuck at home for the past 7 weeks and I didn't even go in this room one time. More likely than not, we're going to see people upsizing.
That's the flip side of the divorces, right? That's all the COVID babies that come in 9 months, 9 months from now, right? So
I need another bedroom. I need an office so that I can work from home. We are expecting that more people are going to be asked to work from home at the end of this.
Yep.
And with that, a lot of people that are currently living in larger cities, let's just use the GTA as an example. If you live close to the GTA so that you can commute into the city every day for your job, and they then say to you, we would really like for you to continue working from home. That's great. Maybe I'm paying $2,200 a month to rent a 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto, and that could be better spent on a mortgage here in London. Okay. So there are people that will be looking to get away from bigger cities, and London is still viewed as an affordable city. All right. So where do our opportunities lie? I know a lot of people are looking at the COVID situation and they're thinking, is it going to be like 2008? Are we going to have an influx of inventory? Are prices going to plummet? I think I can't predict anything as far as, you know, how long this is going to go, but I think the longer this goes, the more inventory we will see hit the market. Okay. Right now we are seeing, like I said, we're in a neutral market. All right. Lots of buyers taking a back seat, and there is far less competition right now. Okay. While we are under our stay-at-home self-isolation policy. All right. The most active sellers right now, they have to sell. They didn't list their house because they felt like it. They saw their neighbor sell and they were like, I'd really like to get my house on the market. They have to sell. Okay. A lot of listing agents and sellers are slow to adapt. All right. So they listed their house a few weeks ago and they didn't get the interest that they thought they were going to because buyer activity kind of did that. They're definitely being slow to adapt. All right. And it's definitely taking a toll on their marketability. All right. New build inventory. So I think the next slide is going to get into this. There is a construction freeze going on right now. City Hall is not providing building permits. We've spoken to a ton of home builders that don't have anything to sell right now.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are also having trouble just getting contractors and the supplies, the materials that they need to finish homes, right? Because
exactly.
they're allowed to finish the homes that had permits that were already started, but they can't start any new ones. But even the ones under construction that are 80% complete, they're having trouble finishing them. In fact, there was a builder about a week and a half ago that got hit with a $100,000 fine because they had 10 plus workers on the construction site.
Right.
Got shut down. So yeah, home builders are getting hit with this as well, right?
Right. We're also seeing a lot of new build sales falling through at the moment. Okay. So the buyers, they, for whatever reason, backed out of those sales. Okay. So is there potential for a deal to be had on an assignment sale? All right. And rental properties where the tenants aren't paying their rent. Okay. So are any landlords putting properties up for sale right now? That could potentially be owner occupied because the tenants are creating a negative situation for that seller. Okay. All things to consider as far as opportunities. And once again, low mortgage rates. Yes, they've climbed a little bit since they hit their kind of bottom a few weeks ago, but you know, a sub 3% 5-year fixed rate is definitely still enticing to a lot of people. All right. So we're talking a little bit about our new construction freeze in Ontario. A few months from now, if there are still no new permits being given out, new build inventory is going to become very tight. Okay. Knowing who has inventory available to sell right now, if you want to move into a new build house before the end of the year, is key to know. Okay. FYI, we know who's got inventory. Are there potentially incentives available to purchase during the pandemic? Some of the smaller home builders in London, I know we're sending out information saying, we got this home, spec home available, this model home, 20,000 off, 40,000 off. I know that you had spoken to a couple of those people, Dale.
Yep.
And then talking about how will the construction industry be affected? We know that people are having difficulty getting materials to their site. I know that window and door trim was something that a lot of people were having difficulty getting to their site. So there is going to be a slowdown there as well.
And flooring as well. My son delivers flooring for a flooring company here in London, and they shut down a couple weeks ago.
So even if your house is supposed to be built and closed on in the next couple months, chances for delays, yeah, those are high, okay? Pre-offer prep. So if you are sitting there right now and you're thinking, I'm a home buyer, I'm still in a good situation, I don't necessarily have to sell, or I could get a longer closing date and sell later in the year. Hopefully things rebound by then. What can you do right now to put yourself in a scenario to potentially capitalize on that neutral market that we were talking about? Mortgage pre-approval obviously is step number one, okay? If you weren't pre-approved before going into this, you absolutely still can get a pre-approval done online, completely virtually, without having to go into somebody's office, right? I know that we work with a lot of people that do pre-approval process online. You submit all your docs, and you need to understand what your mortgage pre-approval looks like. Mortgage pre-approvals, they're going to be checking income, employment status a lot more seriously now than they had been a few weeks ago, okay? Timeline for deal approval. So if you are submitting an offer on a property, you need to understand with your financing, do they need 3 business days to get that deal approved? Do they need 10 business days to get that deal approved? Because people aren't able to do face-to-face transactions. Things are definitely slowing down with a lot of mortgage brokers. Lender employees are working from home. They should be set up now, but there is a potential that it's going to take a lot longer to get that put together. All right. Lawyers operating during the pandemic, once again, completely virtual as well. Okay. So as far as document signing, things like that, you need to have a plan in place to work with your lawyer virtually. Okay. Understanding what tools that they're using and really working with them on that. Okay. Our best strategies for home buyers: be aggressive. It's not going to change. All right. The aggressive buyer is the one that is knowledgeable, informed, organized, and they're in a position to get out there and they are going to be aggressive. Right, Dale? What would you say? You like a property. What's the first thing you're doing?
Well, so right now, a lot of new listings are not holding off on offers where even 2-3 weeks ago,
yeah,
common strategy was listed on Thursday, Friday. We're not looking at any offers for 4 or 5 days. Right now, they're happy to get an offer, right? So,
right.
If you can be in there the first, second day that it's listed, and submit an offer if you like the home, you're going to have a much stronger chance of getting it and beating out some of that other competition.
Absolutely. Even if there is other competition, they're slower right now, right? Yep. Making an offer sooner rather than later is definitely going to be your number one strategy. Asking the right questions. Talked about this a little bit earlier. I would want to know every single detail that I could about a property before deciding I want to go see it. Okay. If I can get it, open those lines of communication between the seller and the listing agent and, know what I'm looking at before actually having to go see it, you're going to be more focused and you're going to be able to, capitalize on the right thing when it comes along, because you're not wasting your time with X number of other properties that don't make any sense. Okay. Assume reasonable risk. And when we talk about that, reasonable risk is, one, educating yourself first, okay? Getting as much information as possible so that you know what you're looking at really before you get there. But also, are we tying up a property without seeing it beforehand? Do we have the right clause in our offer that if the video doesn't look anything like the real house, we have options there, okay? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about reasonable risk, all right? And we're looking in the right places, okay? When we were working with our buyers, we select every single listing that comes to them, okay? We're not out here looking at, 123house.ca with listing information that's been up there since 2002. We're getting our information direct from the source, okay? Make sure that you're staying up to date on active listings and looking in the right places, all right? Something else that I saw a couple weeks ago was an increase in for sale by owner listings online. great place to look in the right places, okay? To see, could there potentially be other opportunities out there that no one else is looking at, all right? Some of those builder assignment sales or builder incentives, they're not being advertised. You got to know where to look in order to capitalize on those types of things, okay? Any other strategies that you would recommend, Dale?
Well, I see a question. Yes, I have another one, but I'm going to wait until Jeremy posted a question. So we'll maybe wait till the end and I'll
Okay, perfect. And obviously, like I said, get organized. Mortgage pre-approval, get your buyer consult done, get hyper-focused on what it is you're actually looking for, and make sure that when it does come time to submit an offer, you know what that offer is going to look like. Like I said, how much time do you need for a financing condition? Do you need a home inspection? Who's your home inspector going to be? Where is your deposit coming from? How are you going to get that money? These are all questions that need to be answered to make sure that you are able to capitalize on that house when you find it, all right? Post-pandemic market, when is it going to happen? Who knows? I know that we've seen a few reports this year that, this week, that we've kind of peaked. I think we need more data to say anything, but I think a lot of people are getting optimistic about when this could potentially end, all right? There will be a slow return to what we had expected, but it will be busy, okay? We talked about that pent-up demand, the extra transactions that are going to be occurring because of the self-isolation. We are expecting to be very busy at some point in 2020, okay? We'll be highly competitive unless we get a major influx of listings, which I don't see happening. Dale, do you?
Well, I was just on a call at 5 o'clock, another video call with about 10 other realtors, and they were saying, like, they're from all different companies. They're saying their offices are still fairly busy with the number of new listings and sales happening. Now, some of those were $800,000 to $1 million, which is probably typically a bit of a slower range to begin with anyway. However, they also had some in the 350, 300 to 400 kind of ballpark as well.
Okay. So yeah, going back to what we saw with our sales to new listings ratio, we expect to be above that 60% mark, putting us back in a seller's market. Okay. How long will it take to return? Like I said, we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball, but once the government starts loosening these restrictions, that's when we're going to see a slow return to what we've come to know. All right.
I feel like it'll be a fast return, honestly. Like maybe within 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be back to very hectic again once it's announced.
We saw how many people hit Jacksonville Beach as soon as they said go for it. So
great. Yeah.
That brings us to the end of our presentation. Okay.
Do you want me to answer Jeremy's question here, Cam?
Yeah, go for it.
So thanks for the great question here, Jeremy. So he's asking, what will be the impact on the market if Western and Fanshawe students don't come back in the fall? That is, if classes are all online for the fall.
That is a good question.
So it's a fantastic question. I was speaking with a Fanshawe electrical professor about a week ago. They have cut their classes off. Electrical obviously is more of a hands-on type program and discipline. They were 85% of the way through their courses and their curriculum. So they've just canceled everything other than they have to write the exam online. So he said they were also 2 weeks into a new course that had just started at the beginning of March, which he said they were expecting they were probably going to have to reschedule them for July, August. But now he said Fanshawe is just pushing everything to September, just to be more cautious, because they didn't want to move it to July and then have to move it again, right? So fingers crossed we'll be okay by June, July. However, we don't know yet. So to answer Jeremy's question, I would say if we're not back in by then, you're going to be seeing a lot of income properties coming up for sale, because if they don't have any renters, right? I mean, we've got a very low vacancy rate here in London, under 2%.
Yeah.
However, for those more transient type rental properties that usually they're only rented for 8 to 12 months and then they leave.
Yep.
I think we will see more of those come up.
Yeah.
Also, similarly, Airbnb properties. A lot of owners of those are struggling right now because there's just nobody vacationing or traveling as much, right? So they don't need that service right now.
Yeah. Honestly, just with where the vacancy rate is sitting right now, I'm in a Facebook group online for rental properties in London, and I know that there's still people scrambling for rentals right now. So yes, there will be some that the landlord says I don't want to deal with it right now, and I'm going to sell it. But there will be some landlords that transition their student housing into a more traditional single family or young professional rental. There are a lot of people looking for rental properties right now. Okay. There will be also a lot of, like I said, renters that are looking into getting into home ownership. So those, there will be some people that are gobbling up some of those listings as well. Okay. Do you have any other questions?
There is one from Hatham. Feel free to take it if you like, and I can jump in. He's one of my buyers right now, actually. So
there we go. I can't read it. Can you?
Oh, okay, I'll read it. So it says, "Hi guys, that was informative. Do you think putting an offer conditional on selling ours is something that is now more acceptable?"
Depending on the depending on the seller situation that you have to go to, possibly. If they're in a scenario where they've been sitting on the market, they haven't had the attention that they want, and yours is the only offer that they've got to work with, possibly yes. But that's a case-by-case scenario. I wouldn't say that all of a sudden every seller is interested in entertaining an offer conditional on the sale of the buyer's property. But there will be those people that don't have a choice, and you could potentially have that. Okay. Yeah,
I agree. I think to add to that, it also depends on the price range that you're looking in, right? So if you're looking above 500,000 at purchasing, then you probably have a better chance of getting an offer accepted that has conditions and possibly the condition of selling your house in it. Whereas if you're a buyer shopping, say, under 450, there's still a lot of buyers in that price bracket right now. So still pretty slim chance they would accept an offer conditional on the sale of a house. However, more conditions like financing, home inspection, insurance, are definitely starting to creep back in a little more than they have been the last 4 years.
And that's, it's pretty typical of a neutral market, right? Buyers have a little bit more leverage because there's more sellers available to them to transact with. Okay. And I thought this at the end of the year, last year, that buyers are going to get a little bit fed up with this seller's market. And once they got a little bit of power in their hands, I would not be surprised to see a lot more buyers trying to get some of those conditions back in there, for sure.
Yep. Well, and in an ideal world, we want them in there, right? It protects everybody, the buyers and the sellers, right? Yeah. You don't necessarily want to go in with a firm offer and then find out that financing falls through.
Well, yeah, exactly. And just, given where the financing market's at right now and the potential for something to fall through, possibility, if you don't have to submit a firm offer, why would you? Take that advantage as a buyer and put that financing condition in there, put that home inspection in there, do your due diligence and put yourself in the best position that you possibly can, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which there are still pre-inspections as an option, right? If you know it's going to be a hot property and good chance of multiple offers. Did one about 3 weeks ago, did an inspection, and then it was a bit of a weird scenario, but
Yeah.
yeah, we did an inspection and then finalized the offer after the inspection.
There we go. Okay, so I don't think we've got any more questions here, unless anyone else wants to chime in with anything. We hope that you found it informative, okay, and that you got a little bit of value out of that. If you have questions about anything we talked about, if you are looking to purchase now, or you think the time might be right further on in the year, reach out to us, okay? Everyone's gonna get a copy of the presentation to go back and review. You'll have our contact information. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. If you are curious about off-market property opportunities, potential new home sale assignments, reach out. Be happy to talk about those unconventional methods that we know a lot of buyers are going to be curious about. They're going to be really interested in doing something outside the norm, just given the irregularity of the scenario. So, yeah, anything to add, Dale?
All I would say is I feel like some of the parts of this were not negative.
Sure.
Maybe a bit doom and gloom. That's definitely not the way that we want this to come across. We're just providing information. The market is still chugging along here in London. We just have to take additional precautions. Like we said, masks, protective gear,
Yep.
having people sign those acknowledgement forms that they're not sick and haven't been in contact with high-risk people, right? So we appreciate your cooperation as well, because it's a change for everybody in this current scenario. So.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So thanks again, everybody. We really appreciate it. Like I said, if you have questions, please let us know, and stay safe, stay healthy.
Bye, everybody. Take care.